Now, from 26th November, that is coming Tuesday, telecom operators will cease upfront deductions of the 9% communication service tax. This follows a directive from the Ministry of Communications. The telcos will now apply the tax through its products and services. Engineer Ken Ashigbe is the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, and he joins us via telephone. Mr. Ashigbe, thank you very much for your time. What does this mean that you are stopping the upfront deduction of the communication service tax?
So what it means is that now, instead of deducting the tax upfront, it would happen is that the tax will now be added to the tariff. And so if you bought, say, a 10 CD scratch card, the tax will not be deducted upfront again. But as you use that 10 CDs to purchase products and services on your telco, say you bought a bundle now which was selling for 1 CD, it will now be sold. The tax would have to be included in it, so it would be like, say, a 1 CD 7 pesos. So that 1 CD 7 pesos will be taking off the 10 CDs that you have in there, and then you still will have your 8 CDs 93 pesos there to use for other products. So as you do that, then the tax will be taken gradually as you do any commercial activity on the network.
So if I'm to get you clearly, if I used to buy 500 megabytes for 5 Ghana cedis, at this point, I'm going to get 500 megabytes for 5 Ghana cedis, and I don't need to add an extra 30 pesos as I used to when you were charging the CST upfront.
No, so what it would mean is that the 5 megabytes of data now would be sold to you as your 5 CDs that you used to pay plus the tax. And about 7% of that added to that. So you would now see when the telcos publish their tariff that what that data that you used to buy at the 5 cities will now be sold at the 5 cities, maybe 35%. And so if you paid a 5 cities 35%, by a voucher onto the system, that the 35% will not be deducted upfront. You will be credited with the 5 cities 35%. But when you now want to buy that, that is when the tax then be deducted on it. But
okay, so does that mean then, can I say then, Engineer Ashigbe, that for 5 CDs airtime, if I can use the same thing, the data that I get will get finished quicker, or the phone call that I make will not last as long as it used to?
What is basically happening is that the tariff itself would change. So those products that you used to buy, the prices now would change because the tax will be added to it.
So data will be more expensive.
The same amount of money. It just means that you get a little less of the service, just about 7% less of what it is that you used to get.
So data will be more expensive.
So the price of the tax component, which currently is the same thing, so that it won't really change from what we currently are having. The only thing you won't do is that the tax will not be taken upfront, but now the tax will be embedded in the tariff.
The Communications Minister has stated that apart from these monies that are going to, these upfront deductions that will stop, some compensation will be worked out by the telcos. Can you explain that?
Well, so what has happened, and I'm pretty sure if you saw the statement we issued earlier on, we had made the point that, because our customers have stayed loyal to us in the process, during that transitional period, when we have been deducting upfront, we are rewarding our customers with, some bonus. So some bonuses have already started, across all the networks, in the period as, we had asked for that 8 weeks to be able to make this change so that we could switch from the upfront deduction to, deduction through the tariff.
Apart from that, the Communications Minister also mentioned that data will not be allowed to expire. Can you confirm if your chamber will be implementing that directive?
What had happened with that, that if you look at that, it was something that some members of the chamber already were dealing with.
Right.
So immediately it is being a chamber issue. So it was not something that across was going to be done. So there were engagements with the individual operators. Telcos met with the minister and they discussed all of that. So I am pretty sure that the modalities of all that's been done would also be dealt with, and then the individual telcos would deal with that. As a chamber, what we try to do is to deal with the things that cut across all of that. And this is this particular one of Data Not Express, a very commercial one. And you know that even before the minister said it, some members of virtually all of the operators had particular products that did not have that did not have expiration. And some of them even have all their products not expiring. So that engagement is going on, and I'm pretty sure that would also be dealt with. But it's not because it's not something that cuts across the industry. It's not something that as a chamber will speak about.
We spoke to the CEO of Vodafone, who mentioned that even though there's a category of her bundles which do not expire already or are allowed to roll over already, she is going to extend the service to her red bundles. But it might mean an added cost because of the new tax. Are you able to speak to this?
So that's why I say that it's very commercial in its nature. So as you said yourself, Patricia had said to you that so she was going to do it, in this particular way. And definitely, the general principle is that if you have, if you bought a product that had a shelf life and one that did not have a shelf life, the two prices would be different, isn't it? So I think generally that might be the principle. So, currently there are some products that are offered where you can get a large, quantum of data, but you offer to buy that and spend that over midnight. So a student who wants to do research and all he wants to do is to get maybe a 5 gig of data, will be able to go to any of this net and get that, and that would expire. Are we going to say that we then cannot offer that student, the ability to be able to buy that 5 gig that cheaply? And then we'll say that, we should do it, everybody should buy a standard one. So you buy it as if the way I will buy the 5 gig and want to use it over maybe a 6 day, a 10 day, a 12 day. So all of these, it's because of the fact that these are the things that you use in differentiating your product. These are the things that the telcos use to compete. That as a chamber, we would want to leave it rather so
to the individual, so that the market itself will play out.
About Vodafone, decided that could speak to you directly on that. But me speaking from the chamber's perspective, as an industry perspective,
will be difficult.
That's why I say I know conversations had gone on between the various operators and the minister, and I'm sure that will be handled at that level.
Finally, Engineer Ashigbe, this week earlier, you released a statement addressing a statement made by government last week concerning the common monitoring platform and the fact that some 300 million Ghana cedis may have been underdeclared by telcos within a period of 2013, I believe, to 2017. Again, I spoke to the CEO of Vodafone, and she mentioned that interim reports have been received from the Ghana Revenue Authority, and you're waiting for the final report to cross-check this information government put out. Have you received that final report?
No, so that's why we were surprised, because, the general standard principle and practice of audit is that when there's any finding, you share it with the auditees. The auditees will review it, will give their responses. But as we speak, we don't have that information. That report has not been shared with us. And as Patricia also said, the interim report we have gotten, rather does not support that. So what we've done immediately is that we've written to GRE asking for that information. We've copied the Ministry of Communication, the Ministry of Finance, and the NTA on that. Because for us as an industry, we are one of the highest taxpayers. We are one of the most compliant when it comes to tax paying, and there's a lot of evidence to support that. And we want to continue that. There's a rigorous, auditing of, our accounts, because you should bear in mind that for even some of the operators, all of them are multinational. So the people who own them are not the people who are running them. So they themselves would want to ensure that there's a lot more transparency and, our tax obligations we take very seriously. So we were hoping that once written to the GRE, they will supply us that information and we will interrogate it as robustly as we can. Because we believe that, we have been very compliant and very consistent in the issues of our taxes.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ken Ashigbe, for joining us this morning. We move from that story now.